feed to catch up.
Okay, everyone, just want to welcome you to the board meeting. We're going to have an announcement from our interpreter. So, Mariana, can you make your announcement, please?
Sí, thank you, Patrick. Mi nombre es Mariana Rivarola y yo soy intérprete esta noche. Si ustedes desean escuchar esta reunión en español, tienen la opción de hacerlo seleccionando un icono que va a aparecer con un globito. Y si están en el teléfono, tienen 3 puntitos donde también pueden ver el idioma de preferencia. Gracias. Thank you, Patrick.
Thank you. Okay, we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. So turn to your right, look at a flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. First order of business, approval of the agenda. Can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
I move we approve the agenda.
Jeannie?
I'll second it.
I heard Julie, thank you. So go ahead and take a vote. Oh, do we have to take public comments? I'm sorry, we have to take public comments, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not on the agenda, Jenny? No?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there any public comments on the agenda for tonight?
You guys, I have one comment. I just have to tell you, I'm trying to get our superintendent into the room and I'm struggling a little bit. So I'm wondering if you can give me like 2 minutes to figure this out.
Absolutely. Let's
with
take
him. I apologize.
No problem. Let's take 2 minutes. Let's get this squared away and then we'll take comments on the agenda.
Thank you. So sorry. We're trying one more thing, you guys. Thank you for your patience.
Thank you, Jenny.
And we're officially in business.
All right, back to public comments on the agenda. Do we have anyone that would like to make comment on the agenda for this evening?
You do. Hold on. I had one. David Stetcher, did you want to make your comment? I guess not. So you have one.
Okay.
All right. First speaker is Mike Roan. You have the floor.
Calling in to comment on items not on the agenda. Am I in the right place?
No, sir, we're not there yet. This is just on the agenda.
The approval of the agenda. We're approving the agenda right now, Mike. So that's going to be in a couple items.
Okay, thank you.
Then you have no comments.
Okay. So we'll do roll call vote. Trustee Fernandez.
Aye.
Trustee Aiello.
Aye.
Trustee Noe.
Aye.
Trustee Lewis.
Aye.
Trustee Nagel. Aye. Vote carries 5-0. Now we'll move on to input from the public regarding items not on the open session agenda.
Patrick, you need to ask Dylan also.
I'm sorry. You're right. Dylan, I apologize again. Your vote on the approval of the budget, sir.
Aye.
Thank you, sir. All right. Input from the public regarding items not on the. Now would be the time to raise your hand. Mr. Rowan.
A few, yes.
This will be your opportunity to get back in line.
And it looks like you have 4 speakers, just requesting clarification on how much time you would like to give them.
We're a little bit behind, so we could go with 2 minutes tonight. Does the board feel good about 2 minutes? Okay, 2 minutes, please.
Got it. Our first speaker is Mike Roan, followed by David Stetcher, followed by Adelia Canterbury, and our final speaker is Junie Curtis. I'm going to let you guys all in the room. If you could keep yourself muted until you're asked to speak. Mike Roan, you have the floor.
Great, thank you. Apologies for the confusion earlier. Mike Roan, co-athletic director, leadership teacher, but calling in tonight in my most important role as father of 2 West County students. I noted that discussion of a school mascot is not on tonight's agenda, so I want to comment on that. Board members, last spring you voted to consolidate 2 schools, and you also voted unanimously to rebrand the new school. The definition of consolidate is to combine into a single, more effective whole. You did not vote to close El Molino and keep Annalee open. Decisions made by the board recently have made it feel like you did. What from El Molino tradition and history do you plan to include in this consolidation combination of schools? You rescinded the unanimous vote you made to rebrand. You broke a promise. You have taken the name of this school back to Annalee to please a community that is no longer present on this campus. All right then, if we're going to be Annalee High School, then let's adopt the mascot of El Molino, the lion, as our new school mascot. Let's combine aspects of each school to make a single, more effective whole. I ask that you put discussion of a new mascot on the agenda for the next board meeting. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Next speaker is David Stetcher.
Did I unmute myself?
Yes, you did.
Thank you. Good evening. I wanted to take a minute to remember Ted Walker. I read his obituary, and for those of us who served on the board with him or dealt with the district while he was serving here or at Twin Hills, remember him, his work for education, his work in the community, and his good nature and his desire to craft solutions for everyone, and his willingness to go the extra yard to try to put together a consensus for everyone. And I offer my condolences to his family, and I wanted to share that with the other members of the board and staff who served with him. Thank you.
Thank you, David. Adelia Canterbury, you can go ahead and unmute yourself.
It is hard to imagine a school board doing a worse job consolidating 2 high schools than this board has done. As a body, you have lacked imagination, rushed to judgment, reversed yourselves, and steadfastly rejected input from the community. Schools are merged successfully when stakeholders are included in the process and enough time is taken to hear all voices. A quick Google search of merging 2 high schools provides many examples. The following quote is from the superintendent of a school district in Washington State considering a merger. She is answering the question, what is the timeline? Once the board takes up the matter, a 90-day public hearing process will take place, after which the board will make a decision. From there, it would take about 3 years to start the actual merger of schools. A lot depends on the community and how it leads the process in the district. End quote. Some of you have been on this board a long time. When you say we had to act fast because we've been operating with a structural deficit for over 10 years, whose fault was that? You have squandered hundreds of thousands of dollars and created a toxic environment at our school with your poor decision-making and deep misunderstanding of the students and community you purport to represent. Patrick Nagel points to a change in leadership at the superintendent position as necessary to, quote, end the disruptive and divisive activities that are inhibiting our school community from coming together. Protests, student walkouts, and folks raising their voices to you, the media, and other elected officials are a consequence of your poorly handled school merger, not the reason there is division. You serve as school board members. Who do you serve? Who are you accountable to? The students of West County High School, their families, the larger community of people and businesses in the entire district demand you course correct. It is your responsibility as elected officials to fix this mess of your making or resign from your position.
Thank you. Next speaker is Junie Curtis. Sorry, I didn't get that first. Junie, the floor is yours.
Hey there, I'm on a super different topic. Hi, Junie Curtis. I've been teaching in the district for 27 years. I just wanted to bring a little bit more forward to the board's attention the issues around long-term independent study. Students used to go out on independent study that they did on the internet, but it used to just be a handful of kids. We're now over 200 kids on independent study. I think it's really time for us to start looking at a better product than Edmentum. Edmentum is really just serving the kids who need maybe an alternative program to in classroom, but they need something better than Edmentum. Edmentum is students are having very varied experiences. Some of them are getting a semester of credit for half an hour's work, or the rumor goes, and then some of them are really having teachers that are forcing them to go through all of the work and really interact with the material. I'd love to see a independent study. I'm talking about internet, online, year-long independent study for students who are on permanent long-term independent study. I'd love to see an independent study where our departments had a voice in what students studied, where we could coordinate the curriculum that's being offered to those students so they could have a diploma they're proud of, that we're proud to put the West County name on, and we really are confident that kid has gotten a challenging, rigorous experience, even though they're not in the regular classroom, and that maybe also that it's coordinated with our curriculum and our best practices that are in the classroom. Say an English teacher might have some input, or a Spanish teacher might have some input into what those kids are studying, and maybe just looking at how we organize the teachers who are assigned to that. And if I don't have any suggestions for you, I just have this idea that it's time. We're about to renew Edmentum, and it's probably time for us to talk about if that's really what we want to do.
Thank you for your comment. Patrick, we had a last minute addition. Are you interested in taking that comment?
Yeah, go ahead.
Last speaker, Andrea Higgins, you have the floor.
All right, I did. Hello, can you all hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you so much. I'm the parent of a freshman, and I saw the really hard work that the teachers and coaches and staff made to bring together these two communities after some really hard feelings and after the board made that hard choice and brought us together, which made this community much better. The classes were so much better after the unification. When my son played football, I saw kids out on that field wearing one red sock and one blue sock. The tie-dye, and I'm hoping everyone is listening, wearing a tie-dyed spirit wear. The bad feelings that had been there in the beginning were finally ebbing, and a new and better school was emerging. This board made the hard choice, and I know that Patrick Nagel was not on the board at that time. I know that Eric Hups was not on the board, but those of you that were there, you made a hard choice, and I deeply, sincerely appreciate that. You brought this community together, but the board is supposed to represent the best interests of the students, not the understandable nostalgia of the any other community members. It's the current students. Please listen to the students, and to those of us that are asking you to please make another hard decision. Unite us. History is going to go back and judge, and please stick to what you originally did and bring us back to West County. Bring us together again. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, everyone. We will move on to the consent calendar. Do I have a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I move we approve the consent calendar.
Thank you, Angie. Do we have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Jeannie. Was there any comments from the public regarding the consent calendar?
No comments.
Thank you. Roll call vote. Trustee Lewis?
Aye.
Thank you. Trustee Fernandez?
Aye.
Trustee Noe?
Aye.
Trustee Aiello?
Aye.
Trustee Pena Perez?
Aye.
And Trustee Nagel, aye. The motion carries 5-0. Okay, we will now proceed to item J, action on items heard in closed session. Julie, do you have a report for us?
The board approved to ratify the release of a classified employee during the probationary period effective January 31st, 2022. The roll call vote was Trustee Nagel, aye. Trustee Fernandez, aye. Trustee Aiello, aye. Trustee Noe, aye. Trustee Lewis, aye. Yes, 5, no, 0, and absent 0.
Thank you. We will now move on to reports. We will start with Dylan. Dylan, your report, please.
Okay. Let me find it. Okay. Hello. This new semester, West County High School has been more spirited than ever. We finished off the month of January strong with a spirit week from January 24th to January 28th. Monday was final day and students played cornhole during lunch. Tuesday was iconic duos or twin day, and we had a contest during lunch in the quad regarding the best duo. On Wednesday, students showed up to school with anything but a backpack, and they had a TikTok dance competition during lunch. Thursday was throwback day, and students participated in the 2000s music karaoke activity during lunch. Finally, Friday was winter whiteout day, and we had a snowball fight during lunch, which was really a dodgeball competition. All the winners of these lunch activities received prizes. Right after the Spirit Week, the leadership class started selling singing valentines with a rose for $7 and candygrams with a note for $3. We sold these during lunch from January 31st to today, February 9th. These will be passed out this Friday, the 11th, during class, since students don't have class on Valentine's Day. While all of this happened, the literature class also started putting ASB and class selections together. Students who are interested in signing up for leadership next school year and are interested in running for an ASB or class position should go to room 2 and pick up a form or ask a leadership student for more information. We are looking for students who are passionate about uniting a divided community, open to new perspectives, willing to put in extra hours outside of class, students who are resourceful, respectful, and resilient. The leadership class helps you acquire real-life skills and makes you a better leader overall. Apart from this, we're also having a spirit date this week on Friday, February 11th, named Love is in the Air, and students are encouraged to wear pink and red. We'll be having a scavenger hunt at lunch next week.
Dylan, we're having some problems with your audio.
Can you hear me now? Hello?
Can't hear you. We lost you.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear him.
Do you want to send me a chat?
I can hear him, Jenny.
I can hear him.
Oh, should I just keep going?
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead. Keep going. We can hear you.
Yeah. And this is also a reminder to go to our girls basketball senior night game this Friday, the 11th. Sonoma County's COVID mandate will be lifted by then, and the gym will be at full capacity. It is a home game. West County High School Activist Club met with Principal Ferdinand Nelson last week to discuss possible ways to create a more inclusive school environment for all. The club is working on bringing the Principals Advisors Committee back up again, and it will be formed by 100% the students looking for ways to make our school a better place. Finally, the journalism class will release its February issue next week and share it with businesses in Sebastopol and the westernmost part of Sonoma County. La Raza Club Unida will also be having a fundraiser selling candy during lunch next week. That's it.
Thank you, sir. Association reports. Who do we have to make our association reports?
Lily here.
Okay, let's start with Lily.
Lily, you have the floor.
Good evening, everybody. I'm Lily Smedshammer, President of the West County Teachers Association, representing classroom teachers, guidance counselors, nurses, speech-language pathologists, and school psychologists. I'd like to start off my address this evening with appreciations for the employees of this district. Despite the turmoil of this year, the people of West County Union continue to prove themselves to be dedicated to the success of our students in our schools. Thank you to the board members for your service to this district, and to our site administrators for fostering communication with their open door policy. Specifically, I would like to acknowledge Human Resources Director Mia Del Preti for starting the process of reviewing our independent study program. Our current program was selected 4 years ago over the protests of the committee members who reviewed the options, and it is an area where we clearly need to improve. I also need to acknowledge the incredible job Administrative Assistant Karen Taylor has done making sure our classes are covered and our students are safe. Nearly every morning, she has had to cobble together teachers to cover individual class periods, as we never seem to have enough substitutes. Fortunately, we now have a full-time substitute on staff to cover classes, and it is a relief. Our teachers have been under a daily strain to cover classes this year, a story repeated in districts across the nation. Our district leadership showed flexible forward thinking in working quickly to address the substitute staffing crisis. As I'm sure you know, we held our first negotiation session with the district recently. The WSCTA wants to acknowledge the collaborative collegial tone in the meeting and hopes we can continue to be able to have frank conversations. The primary issue before us is that the salaries in our district are 23% below the average salary for high school district teachers in the state of California. 23%. Yet we receive more funding to run our district than the average district in the state. Higher funding and 23% behind in wages, which is why the raise offer of 2% is not something we can take to our membership. 2% is not a raise. 2% is the same amount we get as a stipend for adding an advisory period to our workload. When that stipend goes away, the 2% raise is there. It's not a raise. Therefore, you've offered us a 0% wage increase for next year. We have a record budget this year and another record budget coming next year. Let me reiterate that fact. The district is receiving more money than it ever has in history to spend on the fewest students we've had in the past 50 years. We are not in a budget crisis. I reject that assertion. In fact, in addition to those healthy funding projections, it was just announced that the Legislative Analyst's Office is projecting an increase in COLA from 5.33% to 6.17%, something that was not in the district budget presentation we saw during our negotiation session. Also missing from the budget presentation was the good news that we will be funded on the average of our previous 3 years' average daily attendance instead of our attendance for next year. This is very favorable for our district, as each student represents over $15,000 in funding from the state. We've consolidated schools to be able to improve the education we can provide with the dollars we receive, yet the same old narrative of budget crisis persists. Why? Not enough money is being budgeted for staff expenses. School Services of California, the consulting organization that informs and guides California superintendents, has for years recommended a minimum of 85% of the unrestricted budget be spent on employee costs. But again, West County has undershot that minimum by 5%. Reallocating that 5% of our $14 million unrestricted budget to meet the minimum school services recommendation would equate to a significant wage increase for all employees in our district, which would help us attract talent for our classrooms, offices, and keep all cafeteria lines open in this competitive job market. Before I leave tonight, I need your help with an issue affecting the safety of our students. An encampment has sprung up on the edge of district property next to the field where our young women practice softball. The WSCTA requests that the trustees come together to author a demand for the city to take action on the immediate removal of RV and car housing adjacent to school property. Now is the time to act. I wish you a productive meeting this evening and want to again remind you that you are welcome and encouraged to come to our campuses. The students and staff benefit from contact with trustees, and it is also advantageous to you when having to make informed decisions that impact our district and programs. Thank you.
Thank you, Lily. Jen,
Right.
do we have someone else?
Julie, are you here?
Oh, there's Julie.
I am.
Thank you, Julie.
Great. Hi, you guys. I'm speaking tonight on behalf of CSEA Met, the CSEA members, with the consent of our president, Paul Pamposo. My name is Julie McClelland. I would like to begin by thanking all of our classified employees for the hard work, flexibility, compromise, and compassion that they have displayed during this very difficult time at West County High. We feel supported by our faculty and administrators. CSEA wants to especially thank employees David Siebert and Ismael Martinez for all that they have done for our staff and students during this difficult year. David Siebert's position as Administrative Assistant 1 has reduced the need for overtime in the main office by assisting counseling, attendance, and our registrar. His work has eliminated daily hours of overtime every day that was being used to complete essential duties. Before hiring this administrative assistant position, our attendance clerk was working almost every day until at least 6 or 7 p.m. without being able to catch up. And our registrar was working at least 1 to 2 hours a day of overtime as well. Many schools of our size have 2 attendance clerks plus extra help with registration. Our people are pretty used to putting in their own time unpaid to complete essential duties. They do it for the school and for our students, but they should not have to do this as means that we don't have enough staff. One example of this need for this position, David's job made it possible for us to have all of our emergency cards entered into the system within the first month of school, whereas previously it would have taken months to enter all of this data. Because of this position, we were as prepared as possible for the emergencies that hit us this school year. When we had the threats and our lockdown with parents requesting the release of students, we were able to look all of our students up and the release went as smoothly as possible. It was still controlled chaos, but would have been terrible without this work being complete. We desperately need this position to remain in place for the next school year. Truthfully, in a good year, we're struggling to get the work done. Attendance, registration, counseling secretaries, office administration assistant, health tech, librarian, ASB, and all of your classified staff. All of us work very hard, and we regularly put in our own time to complete our regular jobs and care for the staff and students. The custodian position that is set for layoff is filled by Isma Martinez. The addition of this position has allowed the custodians to keep their heads above the refuse that might otherwise bury us. His position has allowed the other custodians time to attempt to complete all the other things that come up for them each day, not to mention filling in absences. He is the main reason our garbage is emptied across campus on a daily basis. When laying off this position, you are sending a message to the other custodians that you feel they could do more. Maybe you should come and talk to them to understand how much they do now and how impossible getting it all done seems before you ask them to do with less. With the consolidation, our school is much larger than it was, more staff, more students. It's taxing our facilities and our personnel even more than we were previously. We as classified staff have given our all to facilitate this consolidation. You asked us to do it, and we did. We have worked hard and given more than what you pay us to do. Please support us by finding a way to save these classified positions. We can't fathom doing all that we have to do next year with even one less employee than we have this year, much less 2 to 4. We realize this is paid for with COVID funds, but COVID effects won't disappear in our jobs. So please find a way to save these positions. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Then we just go to principal's reports. Let's start with Principal Fernandson tonight.
There she is. Shauna, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you very much. Very nice to see you all this evening. And I'll just go ahead and get started here. First of all, I would like to acknowledge that it is School Counselor Recognition Week, and we have really amazing school counselors. Marilu Saldana, when I think of her, I think of someone who has enormous heart and warmth. And when I think of Lucia Garcia, she has an eye for detail in absolutely everything when it comes to working with students and when it comes to scheduling. Linda Reuter has a fiery conviction in her support of students that I have always appreciated. Henry Mirasu has shown in his very short time being with us a deep kindness for students and an excellent sense of humor, and he's very approachable. And Shaylin Birch has also shown us great empathy in her short time being with us, and she brings that empathetic mind to every situation that I have worked with her. So I'm very grateful for the work they do for our students and our entire school. Now on to the other parts of my report. Our attendance last month in my report was 85%, and this month we are now back up to 95%. And so we are kind of rebounding from a lot of absences due to COVID. As far as athletics go, we have quite a bit going on, and it'll be exciting. It'll be an exciting few weeks for playoffs coming up. The regular seasons are winding down, and all of our winter varsity teams are prepping for the postseason. Our girls basketball team is looking forward to celebrating senior night in front of a home crowd this Friday. And our team has compiled a record of 20 wins and 4 losses and sits at #1 in the North Coast Section Division 3 rankings. And they will likely host a home playoff game and make a deep run into the playoffs. Our boys basketball team plays Pioneer on Friday for a share in the NBL Redwood League title. With a record of 16-8, this team will also qualify for the playoffs, and they will look to make a great run at it. Boys soccer celebrates its senior night tonight versus Healdsburg, and with a record of 8-3-2, they will also qualify for the NCS playoffs. Girls soccer with a record of 8-4-1 is currently ranked 7th in the NCS, which should qualify us for a home playoff game. Our varsity wrestlers will head to Ukiah on Saturday for the league tournament. Any wrestlers finishing in the top 3 will move to the NCS championships. The campus was absolutely bustling after school all week with the beginning of the spring season sports. We have a lot of athletes participating and looking forward to seeing those teams compete very soon. As far as leadership, just like Dylan said, you had a great report, Dylan. We have Singing Valentines coming up, and we also had our Welcoming Wesco groups, where I know that upperclassmen met with our freshmen to discuss digital citizenship and along with the long-lasting effects of harassment and other issues like that. Leadership will be beginning the election cycle to choose next year's leadership class. Interest is high on campus to join this dynamic team that has done great work, and we are confident that our next group will live to the high standards that have been set. Our seniors have been working hard to keep the student body engaged and energized throughout the downtime created by the gathering restrictions. They are wrapping up senior sweatshirt sales and have begun planning the year-end senior picnic, which is always very enjoyable. Our juniors are wrapping up a 2-week campaign to sell Singing Valentines and candygrams, and sales have been booming. It should be a fun day Friday with our choir groups roaming the campus, serenading students throughout the day. All proceeds from these sales will benefit the Prom Scholarship Fund. Juniors also have begun prom planning process, which will happen at the end of April. Our sophomore class representatives have been busy planning spirit days and lunchtime activities and look to host a movie night very soon now that the restrictions will be expiring, or at least soon. We did have a really great event. Congressman Jared Huffman joined us. Hold on. Oh, I just love Zoom. Okay. Congressman Huffman joined us for a virtual town hall meeting. One of our English teachers, Paige Greco, encouraged her students to send letters to Congressman Huffman, and apparently he received so many that he decided just to call and say, "Can I be of service?" So, of course, we said yes, and we held a virtual town hall meeting with all the teachers were invited. Anyone who wanted to attend could, and so it was really just great. It was great to see the students interacting, and I appreciate the work that John Greck did. He helped moderate all of the questions that were coming from the students to the congressman. And they asked some amazing questions. They were asking everything about climate change and writing policy and activism. And I just thought it was a really important experience for everyone to have. More good news. The Bohemian has awarded our very own band director, Casey Jones, as Best Music Instructor. So that's wonderful. He does share this honor with Nick Pulley, who teaches music in the Gravenstein district as well. And we're super proud of that. Casey wanted me to also give a quick shout out to our Education Foundation for funding the mindful meditation workshops that have helped our students dealing with anxiety both on and off stage. This has been helping all the performing art classes, including dance, choir, band, orchestra, and acting. Our teacher, Freddie Lambert, has concluded the auditions for Little Shop of Horrors, and the stagecraft class is working on all of the sets and the props. The play should be it'll run from approximately April 7th through the 16th. We have completed course requests for 9th through 11th grade next year, and tomorrow we will launch the incoming 9th grade course requests, and we will also have 2 nights of support. That will be next week on the 15th and the 16th for if anyone needs help with the technology or they need help with choosing classes. We will have 2 nights set aside for all families to get that type of help. And finally, I would like to encourage anyone who is interested to send a letter to the City Council to advocate for the parking ordinance that is being considered in Sebastopol. The parking ordinance would alleviate the RV camping and living that is going on next to our softball field. That does impede our ability to walk along the street. And also it is going to be a problem for people when they want to come and watch the game. There's not anywhere to park anymore. And so that will be an issue, let alone some of the safety concerns that I know I have brought up. I did send a quick note to the city council in my support of that parking ordinance. And with that, I will conclude this report.
Thank you, Shauna. Allie?
Hi, everyone. Thank you for giving me the time. Before I go into the rest of my board report, I do just want to take a moment to honor the student that we lost about a week and a half ago. All of our kids are our family, and we love every single one of them. And our every loss hurts, and every loss is one too many. So first, I want to take a moment and talk about talk about school counselors, all school counselors. They lift that heavy load that most people cannot carry. Secondary trauma is a real thing, and it's something that our counselors contend with every day in ways that we cannot see. Our counselor for over 30 years was Kim Finch, and she retired last year. She loved and cared for multiple generations of rhinos. Shannon Lowy filled her shoes this year, and Shannon approaches her work with love and caring. She believes in the potential for every student, and she gives them the support they need to be successful. She epitomizes the power of love and transformative nature of her job. Shannon is a treasure, and I am proud to work with her. I do want to say thank you to Angie for coming out and bringing clothes for our clothes closet. We are always in need. I appreciate that. And Julie, as always, thank you to you for coming every week and volunteering and working with our kids. It's important to them. They get to feel seen. And I think having those positive interactions with grownups is hugely beneficial. I also particularly want to be thankful to you, Julie, for coming when our student had passed away and being there with us. So thank you. We also have some things to celebrate. We have from last year, an 87% graduation rate. And so for kids who are predominantly on free and reduced lunch, 30% homeless, that's pretty phenomenal, and cannot be more proud of our entire Laguna family for that. We are working on articulating more classes with SRJC. We have identified the SRJC articulations as really a point of pride and strength for us. As you know, we had the 2 computer classes this past year, and we are articulating a welding class with SRJC. We're working on kind of doing a pilot practice of it, but hopefully we'll have that class articulated for next year. Right now, we're sitting at around a 30% FAFSA completion rate. And again, one of the best indicators of post-secondary outcomes is whether or not our students fill out the FAFSA and qualify for financial aid. We have of our 47, 48 seniors, we have over 20 of them who are currently taking SRJC classes. A big, huge thanks to Stacey Fortin, who is our work-based learning coordinator. We are piloting something we're calling an extended learning plan. So for our students who are essentially done with their graduation credits, we are keeping them within the fold of our school and making sure that they get access to the resources of 10,000 Degrees, and Stacey's coordinating all of those resources to make sure that the kids have those soft skills that employers have identified as necessary for kids going into the real world. We're seeing it as like a soft launch into adulthood for our kids. And right now we have about 10 kids who are very successful on that and coming back to campus once a week to meet with her. We are also, we are working on our Valentine's Day. We tried to convince our kids to do the singing Valentine's grams, and they weren't quite there yet. We're hoping for next year. But we actually, our leadership group made bags for every single kid with treats in it and little toys. And then every day at lunch, every single kid can fill out heart valentines for whoever they want. And then every single kid gets a baggie with little heart valentines. And we filled out hundreds of these. So every kid will have a whole bag full of love for them on Friday. We're giving them out on Friday. So again, thank you to you all. Thank you for your service. And I, as always, appreciate your support of Laguna.
Thank you, Allie. We'll now jump over to board reports. Trustee Noe, you want to pass, correct?
Yeah, given the time, I'm going to pass on my report tonight. It is pretty late.
Okay. Trustee Lewis?
I'll try to be quick. I know that it's kind of getting late. I don't have too much to report. I've been on vacation most of January. I'm just trying to get back in the swing of things, get caught up. I got to meet Donald Evans, our current interim superintendent. We had a great conversation. I was happy to catch a few sporting events, had a nice little visit with Shauna at one of the games. And then, like Allie said, I made a visit out to Laguna and had a nice conversation with her, dropping some stuff off. So that's about all I have.
Thank you very much. Trustee Fernandez.
I only need to report out that on Monday night, the Sonoma County Committee on School District Organization that I'm the chair of actually approved of our process and plan for the CVRA. I just wanted to let you all know that they did a resolution, and due to new state law, it does not have to go to a vote, even though we actually got a waiver for that eventuality of a vote. So just wanted everybody to know that that has moved forward.
Great, thank you so much. Trustee Aiello.
Sorry, I couldn't unmute myself. I just want to report real quickly that I met with Patrick and Dylan and two other students on Friday, where they did a very well done presentation on the consolidation. And I'm really hoping to get more input on how to move forward, and hopefully we can meet again. That's it.
Thank you, Julie. My report, same thing. Sat down, had a nice meeting with a couple of kids representing the West County activist group. We had a nice presentation, nice conversation, and I echo what Julie said. I hope it's the first of many conversations. I know we didn't come to any earth-shattering resolutions, but I think we started talking, and the only way to get somewhere is to actually start to go. So I look forward to having more conversations in the future. So thank you all. We're gonna jump right over to our superintendent's report. So Dr. Evans, the floor is yours, sir.
Good evening, everyone. Just want to report out the first interim has been reviewed and approved by the County Office of Education, but there was a caution in terms of deficit spending. So we just need to be reminded of that. Had the opportunity to meet with the leadership team. Great group of kids. Really enjoyed talking to them. Many expressed their concerns and issues regarding the name change at the school. Students talked about unity, what they had done, the growth that has taken place. I looked at pictures, a lot of positive things. One of the things that came up was talking about being divided, and the other word that came up was unity as the students moved forward. So I was really pleased by what I heard from some of the students. And then finally, the district applied for $176,000 in emergency connectivity funding, otherwise known as ECF, at the beginning of the school year. We were seeking reimbursement for all 450 Chromebooks purchased for incoming freshmen, along with funding to pay for mobile hotspots. The district received word on January 10th that the grant was actually funded. And so we've submitted the necessary paperwork to receive our first round of reimbursement. And all the funds will be returned to the accounts that they were expended from. And about approximately $145,000 will be returned to the bond funds, and the remaining expenses will be returned to the COVID safety funds. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Evans. We're going to move on to number 3, discussions and action. The first item is item A, board representation. Election of voting representative and alternate for process of filling vacancies on the Sonoma County Committee on School District Organization. And we're going to look for a motion on this. Does anyone want to make a motion on this?
We need to make a nominate somebody first. I'd actually like to nominate Kelly Noe.
Kelly, do you accept?
Yeah, I accept, but do you want to explain what it is? I mean, it's really,
Sure, I can.
Yeah, it's like you will receive something in the mail and have to bring it to the board to have a vote.
Okay, I'm happy to explain, since I serve on that committee. Every school district in our county, including the JC school board, has a voting member that votes on the members of the 11-member Sonoma County Committee on School District Organization. Whenever members of that committee's term is up, they have 4-year terms, and it rotates so that, of course, not everybody drops off at once. When those terms come up, a ballot is sent to each of those voting members from those 41 school districts, so that they can chime in if they so desire to, as to voting for either, most of the time, it's usually one person's name's on the ballot. Sometimes in other cases, there's more than one. So they become the voting member for those members of that committee. And this was supposed to actually been done in December when we set up our new officers, but somehow we didn't get that on the agenda. So we're a little behind the power curve, but it's okay.
And don't we actually need a backup too? I think usually we vote on 2 people.
Yes, we need a backup. Yeah.
Like it would be me and then whoever, if I'm not available, someone else has to be available.
Okay. So I'd like to nominate Kelly as our voting member. And a backup. Julie, do you want to, Julie was it last year? Do you want to, that would be my second backup. So we now need a second on that.
I'll second it.
Okay. Public comment on this item or no?
Yeah.
Okay. But if any member of the public would like to make comment on this item, now would be the time to raise your hand so that Jenny can call on you. She's shaking her head no. Okay, moving on. Let's go jump right to the roll call vote. Let's start with Trustee Fernandez.
Aye.
Trustee Aiello.
Aye.
Trustee Lewis.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Sure.
When I was looking at this form, it looked to me like the president was, it says like following officers elected, it says president in parentheses and then like the address, and then it says clerk. So I was under the impression that automatically the president and the clerk were the people that did it. Am I misreading this form or?
That's only in the case that that a school district does not put someone in this position.
Okay, I just had read the form, so I didn't know we were appointing someone or voting on it. I just thought that that's what it did.
No, we've done this. I mean, every year that I've been on the board.
Yeah, I've never seen it, so it wasn't explained to me. I didn't know.
No, we did it last year because I think Julie was it last year. Yeah.
I don't remember it.
And I don't know who our alternate was last year.
Okay. Angie, your vote, please.
I'll vote aye.
Thank you. Trustee Noe.
Aye.
Trustee Nagel votes aye. Trustee Pena Perez, sir, your vote.
No.
Thank you. The motion carries. Okay, we'll move on to section B, education services. Item number 1, consideration of approval of update to district COVID safety plan. Can I have a motion to approve the updated COVID safety plan?
I move that we approve the updated COVID safety plan.
Thank you, ma'am. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Kelly. Jenny, you gonna take this one, or is this Dr. Evans?
Yes, I'm going to turn it over to Ms. Bruneman.
Oh, there you
talk
go.
about the updates.
Thank you. Rachel Lassick couldn't be here tonight. She's currently doing soccer duty. She is our COVID coordinator, so I will be reporting out for her. Updates as of January 27th were limits on attendance for indoor sporting events. That was increased to include or exclude players. That actually sunsets tomorrow night at midnight. So spectatorship can resume to normal attendance. There is a booster requirement as of January 27th. There's an update to that as well. Due to the limited supply of COVID tests for PCR and rapid tests, the requirement to test staff twice a week as of February 1st was moved to March 1st. For unvaccinated staff, it still remains the same for once a week. Until March 1st, we'll start to test staff twice a week. Updates as of today were that the sunset for the in-person attendance would go back to normal, so we wouldn't be limited to only 50 spectators, as Shauna mentioned in her report for, I think there was a basketball game this weekend. It also appears that the state will be lifting the indoor mask requirements as of Tuesday, February 15th. This does not apply to school districts K through 12. That means we will still be required to have masks indoors and at all extracurricular events that happen on campus. So that is the update as of right now.
Thank you, Jenny.
Happy to answer questions.
Does anyone on the board have any questions for Jenny? Okay. Public comment on the update to the district's COVID safety plan?
A couple.
Okay. Let's stick with 2 minutes tonight, just because we're trying to get caught up here.
Copy that. Leah Woody had her hand raised prior to this item. So I'm wondering, Leah, can you confirm whether or not you actually want to speak on this item by taking it off and putting it back on? Thank you. Allowed to talk. Where is she? There you went. All right, Leah, you have the floor, and I'll start the clock in a second.
Oh, gosh.
You're with us. We can hear you.
Oh, okay. So, yeah, no, I meant to lower my hand. Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that was it, right, Jenny?
Yep, that was it.
Bring it to the back to the board for voting. Roll call vote. Trustee Lewis.
Aye.
Trustee Noe.
Aye.
Trustee Aiello.
Aye.
Trustee Fernandez.
Aye.
Trustee Pena Perez.
Aye.
Trustee Nagel votes aye. Motion carries. Item number 2, under Education Services, discussion and action on location for the March 2nd, 2022 board meeting. Can I have a motion regarding this item?
I move that we hold the March board meeting virtually.
Thank you, Kelly. Can I have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Julie.
Go ahead, Julie.
I got Julie. Dr. Evans. Or is this going to be a Jenny?
This is actually
Jenny.
an item.
Jenny.
I'll take this item too.
Thank you, ma'am.
Also, just can I request clarification on your motion? There are 2 board meetings in March. One of them falls outside the window. If you can revise your motion to include March.
I can't
2nd.
say March. I was thinking we could get, but it has to be the 30 days.
It has to be the 30 days.
Yes, I amend my motion.
Julie, you good with the second still? Okay, thank you.
Thanks. I just wanted clarification on that because I was confused. I confused Karen earlier. So this is a standard item on our agenda for several months now, seeing as the state has this requirement that we're required to talk about it in public, where our next meeting will be held if we choose to hold it virtually. At the time that this meeting packet was published, we did not know that the spectators or attendees would sunset as of tomorrow night at midnight. So it was the recommendation of staff to have and continue virtually. That can be discussed now if you so choose. So I'm just happy to answer questions.
Okay. Anyone on the board have any questions, comments about holding the meeting virtually, holding the next 2 meetings virtually, correct?
One meeting. At the March 2nd meeting, this item will be on the agenda again for the 2nd meeting in March.
So for the March 2nd meeting virtually, does anyone have any questions regarding that specifically? Yes, Jeannie.
So my question would be, are we still going to be allowed to have virtual meetings?
As of right now, we have not seen any guidance from the state that would suggest that we're not allowed to have meetings. I know that the state is lifting the mask mandate for indoor activities for anything that's not school related. However, they're still allowing flexibility with school districts as of right now for us to host meetings virtually, because I think some folks don't have the capability to deal with all the requirements. That's just me surmising. I don't know. We could hear more information within the next several weeks.
Okay. Any other questions? Public comment on holding a Zoom meeting on March 2nd?
No comments.
Okay. Bringing it back to board for a vote. We will start Trustee Noe.
Aye.
Trustee Aiello.
Aye.
Trustee Lewis.
Aye.
Trustee Fernandez.
Aye.
Trustee Peña Perez.
Aye.
Trustee Nagel votes aye. Item number 3, presentation of local control and accountability plan, LCAT mid-year update. This is just a discussion item, so we don't require a motion. Dr. Evans, you can take this one?
I'm going to attempt to talk about the LCAP.
Good luck, sir.
So, and for our viewing audience, our LCAP is a 3-year plan that outlines our goals, our actions, and services, as well as our expenditures to support, positive outcomes for our students. And so, in this plan, we address our state and our local priorities. With this presentation, I do have Andrew helping me, and I also have our principal at the high school, comprehensive high school, Shauna Ferdinandson, and Allie as well, to assist me in some of these things that I'm not as familiar with. So, as I said, this is an update. It's a mid-year update on the LCAP. Many of these items that you see as actions, we don't have any information as of this date. And so some of this will come back to the board at the end of the year where we have more complete information. So can you skip to the next couple of slides?
Yes.
Thanks.
Right here.
And keep going to the next. So at this point in the school year, some of the metrics, as I said, we do know. Some of them are in progress. And so we're going to report on what we do have. And so excuse me. I am congested and I'm coughing, so I'm going to get through this presentation. So I will report on some of those things that we do have in progress. Can you move on to the next slide? Again, I do want to note that some of these items that have not started are because we could not provide substitutes to do some of the professional development. And so I will let you know which items those are. Can you go to the next one? So our LCAP is divided into 3 goals. And so the first goal is to improve conditions of learning, school climate, and engagement. Can you go to the next slide? So we have several metrics before us: chronic absenteeism, attendance rate, suspension rates, and expulsion rates. I don't have the mid-year averages right now for the chronic absenteeism, attendance rates, and suspension rates, but you can see from this chart what our baseline is for each one of these. And you can also see what our desired outcome for each one of these. I do know that Principal Shauna mentioned that we have improved our attendance rate from the last month to this month, and that should be increasing as we move forward to the end of the year. And can you go to the next slide? One of the things about the Youth Truth Survey is in progress. We will have the results February the 14th. So that is in progress. And so we'll know what that data says. We are not administering the California Healthy Kids Survey this year, so we will not have that. And we do not have available the efforts to seek parent input as well as the promotion of parent participation at this time. Next slide. We have several partnerships, West County Community Services and the Petaluma Counseling and Guidance Center. Under our Extended Learning Opportunities Plan, they provide professional development for us. And as you can see, in August, we provided professional development around the portrait of a graduate. WCCS and PCGC, West County Community Services and Petaluma Counseling and Guidance Center, they provide a lot of support to our students. As you can see, we expended $82,000 so far. And we also expended $15,312 for additional outreach therapists to work with our students. And this is all under our MTSS, which is a multi-tiered support system. And I think at the last board meeting, there was conversations around our multi-tiered support system. And so the next couple of slides support MTSS and what we are actually doing. Next slide. So in addition to professional development, we are providing the mental health counseling for our students under Care Solace, which is a mental health referral service that we can recommend our parents to. We also have KKIS, which is Keeping Kids in School. And we also have SSA, which is our Safe School Ambassadors. And all of these services are provided to our students. And you can see how much money we expended as of our first interim. Slide. We've also provided an additional support coordinator, which is a teacher on a special assignment, our TOSA. And you can see how much money we spent so far. One of the things that we do have, the district was identified as significantly disproportionate in special education under the category of emotionally disturbed. And as a result, we're providing services in terms of implementing a screening assessment and professional development on socially emotional supports for those students. And we have not yet provided the professional development in that area yet. And part of that is because we have had issues with finding substitutes. And we're also providing professional learning and English learner development instruction. Next slide. CSA, we have been providing, which is our comprehensive coordinated early intervention services. We are providing materials for inclusive clubs for our students to bring them more into the fold of some of the activities that we have on campus. We're providing restorative practices. And again, in terms of the training for the restorative practices, we haven't done that yet. We are working with Juvo, which is a behavior company, and they help us with strategies to support our students. And right now with our wellness plan, we need to update it. So that has not been started as of date.
Hi there. Sorry, Dr. Evans. Can I just jump in real quick about the restorative practices? Because we actually did do quite a bit of training around restorative practices, and we did implement restorative practices and a restorative therapist at Laguna this year.
All right, Laguna Beach. Laguna. I almost said Laguna Beach.
That would be awesome if it were Laguna. Oh, sorry.
Restorative practices in Laguna Beach. Okay. Thank you for sharing that. And then can we go to the next slide? And so we do partner with West County Health Services, and you can see what we've done in terms of services. However, there has not been any cost to the district as of date. So under LCAP Goal 2, which is improve course access and student success, as of date, we don't have any misassignments. And I didn't get a report on FIT, and Jenny could report more on that, but I didn't get that. In terms of student-aligned instructional materials, we had no Williams complaints. And then under this metric, we have English learner proficiency. And our goal is that 60% will make progress. And at this time, that's unavailable. We should have more data at the end of the year.
And with respect to the fit, we are in exemplary condition. And I want to preface that with, it doesn't mean our facilities are all perfect. There are certain criteria that we evaluate as a state tool. They provide us with a facility inspection tool, and we go through and evaluate 25 to 30% of the facility at every single campus. And then we average it out and get scored. And so our score is in the 95% for each campus, which is good, but it's not a perfect science, which is why the state is trying to revise that document to be more reflective of actual school facilities. So just wanted to note that.
Thank you, Jenny. Students redesignated as English proficient. We don't have that data. We will have that at the end of the year, as well as AP exam results. Students won't take that till the spring. Graduation rate and dropout rates, all of that will be forthcoming at the end of the year report. Physical fitness test, that's not available right now. It's my understanding that ninth graders will be doing this in the next couple of weeks. That's the next slide. Next slide. Okay, we'll go back to this one. So the EAP test, the early access program, right now we are in the process of getting all of that. SBAC ELA results we do not have, and we do not have the SBAC for math at this time. Increase access to AP and honor courses. We don't have, provide options for students to graduate. This happened over the summer. And so as of date, we expended $31,804. So that has been completed. We also have provided options for students to graduate under a credit recovery program. We provide, this particular expenditure is for our teachers. And so that is in progress right now. Also, providing options for our students to graduate, that's still in progress right now, and that's our transportation. And as you can see, we expended $4,685. Next slide. Provide options for students to graduate. Again, this is providing bus and activity passes for students. We've also provided additional library hours. We provided additional ELL instruction. And also we provided ELD curriculum. And again, translation services has been provided for our English language learners in terms of additional support. We do have ELD support classes. And as a first interim, we've spent $19,895, so that's still in progress. We also are providing coaching for general education teachers, as well as tutoring. And we also have an ELD coordinator. And so the stipend for that is $7,544. But as a first interim, we haven't spent anything yet. So that's in progress. We also provide bilingual para educators, including 2 for summer school. You can see what we spent so far with that. We've provided professional development and release time for our program. And this is something we have to do. But again, we've had issues with substitutes. We are providing academic support classes, and you can see how much money we have spent as a first interim. And then we provide paraeducator support for these academic support classes. Increasing executive functioning and homework supports. We have the Learning Center model. All of this is still in progress. We are providing student planners, school tutoring, after school tutoring, and we also have instructional materials for academic support classes. All this is still in progress right now. We also have data-based decision-making to standardize the monitoring of student progress. Again, here's another situation where we want to do more of that. Unfortunately, right now, we don't have the substitutes, but we are creating A through G roadmaps for our students starting in 9th grade. That's in progress, as well as technology to meet the diverse needs of our students. One of the things that we want to do is to increase the use of standard-based or evidence-based instructional strategies. We want to provide that professional development and release time for our teachers. Again, once we can get substitutes, we can continue this. Increase supports for at-risk students. We do have a paraeducator for a push-in model to support our learning center. And so we've expended $17,437, and that's still in progress. Increased supports for special education students. We provide professional development and release time. And in that, we have on hold only because, again, we've had issues finding substitutes. And then it's my understanding that we have an excellent family engagement specialist working with our students and our families. And you can see what we spent on that. Next slide. And so our goal 3 is to improve college and career readiness through our implementation of our district portrait of a graduate and our outcomes for this in terms of empathy, balance, communication, collaboration, curiosity, and resilience. So many of these things we just don't have available right now. in terms of the college and career readiness indicators, or CT and completers. And we should have some results from our youth truth survey. Again, that's coming in February 14th. We'll have those results. Again, with the youth truth survey, those results are coming out within the next week. And so I'll have that at a later time. Next slide. Implementing our new school model grant centered on the portrait of a graduate, work-based learning and pathway development. We're providing a work-based learning coach, and you can see what we spent so far, and that's still in progress. We're providing training for new school model coaches, and that's in progress. And that training was completed in January, or will be complete in January 2022. So it should have already happened. And we also are providing training to support our educational needs of all of our students. So the professional development, and as you can see, much of the professional development where we require substitutes, we just haven't had the ability to do as of right now, as of date. Create A through G aligned courses. That's in progress. Connecting with the Strong Workforce Grant Committee. Again, that's dependent upon us being able to get subs for our teachers. We are using the Naviance program for all of our students. That's in progress, as well as providing instructional materials for our pathway classes. With this piece, I am going to turn it over to Andrew to talk about the budget and the impact of the budget.
Thank you, Dr. Evans. So when the budget was adopted in June 2021, the LCAP, the budget overview for Parents Block was presented, and it showed that the LCFF funding was at $19,469,306. And part of that component was the supplemental LCFF funds that come as part of the LCFF funding mechanism. That's to go to support our unduplicated count students for free and reduced meals, foster youth, homeless youth, and our EL students. When the legislature finally passed their budget, we had our 45-day revise that came in July and presented in August, and we see a slight increase of $1,052 to the total LCFF funds. Next. As part of the enacted budget for this fiscal year, there were some additional grants that were part of that. The Education Effectiveness Block Grant, the ADG Completion Improvement Grant, and then the Extended Learning Opportunity Program. The Educator Effectiveness Block Grant is part to provide professional development for our teachers, for our classified staff and administrators. Those funds can be used from this year through 25-26, and we've just received some of that funding just recently. And then the A to G still is to be funded, and then we should be coming back with a plan of implementation by April. And then the ELO is a component of a bunch of different programs that have different funding buckets in it that related to the COVID dollars, and ensuring that students are safe and on campus, and making sure, due to COVID, and making sure that they have the wellness mental counseling services that we've been talking about this evening. Next. Being that we are not over 50% in our unduplicated accounts, we only receive our supplemental funds. We don't receive a concentration grant, so we don't receive additional dollars. Next slide. And then as we look at through the LCAP and the ESSER plans that have been developed and presented to the board, throughout these plans, we seek student seek stakeholder engagement from our students, from our families, from our various school stakeholders, our teachers, principals, classified staff, just making sure that everything that we're doing in implementing the programs are aligned with what the programs were set out to do, with the funding, and making sure that we have a safe in-person learning. And then a lot of these funds also help to address learning loss mitigation due to the impact of the pandemic and COVID. Next slide. So the implementation of the ESSER, which is the Elementary and Secondary Emergency Relief, those funds have been allocated, and they again help to ensure that the safety of our environments related to COVID, and addressing again learning loss mitigation, and providing some mental health services that we continue to highlight this evening. Some of these planned actions, though, kind of the challenges that we've already talked about, are how do we get the substitutes to provide the professional development. But a real good success that we've proven successful this year is our mental health supports for our students using these ESSER funds and other related COVID funds outlined in the LCAP. And next. And then based on the plans that were developed, we continue to evaluate the expenditures to make sure that they align to the various plans related to LCAP. And we continue to do that and making sure that we expend the funds in the appropriate way. So with that, I turn it back to you, Dr. Evans.
Thank you, Andrew. I just wanted to say that, first of all, I apologize that I don't know all the programs as well as I should. But as I was reviewing some of the metrics and some of the action steps, I'm really impressed with the MTSS, the multi-tier system, support system for students, and that being built out to support outcomes for students. And I just want to say thank you to the district for really thinking about how we can do a better job of getting those kids the services and the needs that they might have, because these kids are many times unrepresented and we don't hear from them, and therefore we don't always provide those services. And so I want to thank the board and all the teachers, administrators for the hard work that they put forth in the LCAP. And I know that I'll be hearing about the positive results that everyone has been doing so far. So that concludes the mid-year report on the LCAP.
Thank you, Dr. Evans and staff. We're going to move on to item number 4 under Education Services. Discussion.
Patrick, did you want to take any public comment?
I am so sorry. Are there any public comments on the LCAP as Dr. Evans has presented?
No comments. Thank
you, Jen. So item number 4, discussion and consideration of approval of the school colors for the comprehensive high school. Can I have a motion on this, please?
Patrick, can I recommend that we have a discussion and listen to our community before we make a motion on that?
Sure, we can do that. Dr. Evans, do you want to introduce this?
So, so the administration is looking for direction and action in regards to the determination of permanent color, school color for the comprehensive high school. Since the consolidation, the comprehensive high school has been using blue and red and gray as the school colors. So I was going to turn it over to the board president for discussion, and it is the recommendation of the staff to approve the colors of the blue, red, and gray that they have for this year permanently for the next years to come.
Okay. Anyone on the board want to comment or ask questions? Yes, Julie.
I just want to say I would really appreciate the board developing a process for making decisions like this. that take input from students, community, and staff before we vote on these things. And I understand that we're kind of in a rush for the colors due to the fact that we need to order uniforms. But I would like to see us develop a process in order to make these decisions that are more inclusive and give us a little bit more time to get that input in the future.
I agree, and we will do that. We're working on that. Anybody else have questions, comments on this?
Questions or comments too?
Either. Was a discussion?
Yeah. Okay. I feel like the school's already kind of adopted these colors, and we can wait to hear what everybody has to say, but I think there's not much question that the student body and staff has already inherited these colors. So I don't think there's much question in the way of that.
Okay, thank you. Kelly and Jeannie, anything?
I just want to reserve my comments after we listen to the public speak.
Well, I have a similar comment to Jolie. I think when we have talked about previous items, have expressed my frustration around the process that we have used to making such decisions. And it would be great if we had a better process for moving forward with how the board receives input on such items to make sure that it is truly reflective and that we're making informed decisions. So I understand, and I know, and I've been told that this has to do with the timeline for the uniforms for next year. And I agree, it feels like we're yet again making a decision without having a lot of information at hand.
Okay.
Patrick,
Dylan,
go ahead.
hold on, Dylan.
Yeah, I agree with Angie. I think that the school has adopted the red, the gray, and blue already. And if you guys are thinking of doing a survey like we did for the name, I don't think we should include blue. I think we've moved on from that color already, and we should include red, blue, and gray, and other colors if you don't agree with that combination of colors.
Okay. My comments are, I think the unofficial decision, or with a lack of guidance or permanency, it was a good. I like the kind of the blue from one, the red from another, and the gray as a neutral. So I kind of feel like that worked. It is working. It was brought to my attention by one of the athletic directors that because of the need and lead time for fall sports, we needed to get our orders in early, so they wanted us to give them direction on what to do. There is no motion on the floor, so I guess at this time we can turn it over for community input.
I mean, do we want to entertain a motion? I mean, I guess.
Is anyone willing to make a motion now?
I'll make a motion.
Thank you, Angie.
I move that we approve the school colors for the high school.
Thank you. Do I have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Kelly. Well, let's go to public comment. Ginny, do we have public comment on this item?
Do you want to give it a second?
Yes.
Okay. We're going to call Ollie Oxenfree here in a minute. All right. Looks like you have 9 public comments.
Okay.
10. 11. Great. I'm counting down 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Last speaker is Karis with 11 comments.
Let's stick to that too this time. Okay, Jenny. We're running behind. So
hold on. I got to just take a picture of it because sometimes they fall off. This is what I do. I try to be fair.
No worries. And then when you guys are ready, we can start.
And you wanted to keep it to 2 minutes?
Yeah, we can keep it to 2 minutes. That's fine.
Okay, hold on 1 second. First speaker, Hannah Berkemeyer, followed by Ann Conwell, Just Bill, Julie McClelland, and Katie Ann Nigel. If you could do me a favor, I'm going to let you guys all in the room at the same time, but please do not unmute yourself until asked to do so. Hannah, you have the floor.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
My name is Hannah Berkheimer, and I'm a West County student. I'm here to advocate for the school colors staying red, blue, and gray. Time and time again, you have ignored our wishes to truly be a consolidated school, not just annually with more students. At the same time, you have expressed desires to create unity at West County and to bring our two communities together. Changing the school colors to red, blue, and gray is one step in the right direction for doing this. I know it may not seem like a lot after all, it's just some colors for a place I'll only be at for a few years of my life. On some level, this may be true, but these colors mean more than that. These colors are representation for the people by the river, showing that our history does matter. Too often we are ignored, seen as unimportant. By adding red to blue, you are showing that we are part of the equation that makes West County. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Ann Conwell. And just a heads up, Bill and Katie Ann, your Zoom isn't up to date, so you're going to get brought into the room. If you could just leave your camera off. And Ann, you have the floor.
Hi, this is actually Savannah Conwell. And although I haven't always seen eye to eye with the decisions of the board, for this, I do see eye to eye. And I believe that keeping the colors red, blue, and gray are the best decision for the school. It provides a sense of unity, which we will be losing if we go back to the name annually. And it just, at least for me, coming from El Molino, it makes me feel welcome. Whereas if we just all of a sudden switch back to annually after this whole year of building up this new community and such, I don't feel as welcome as I feel like I should at this school. And I know I'm not the only one that believes this. So once again, I just want to say thank you for bringing up the discussion of keeping the colors red, blue, and gray. And yes, thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Julie. You have the floor.
Hi, yes. Nice to talk to you again. I feel very strongly that we should keep the blue, red, and gray colors. I also honestly, as an Elmo person, came from Elmo, I feel strongly that we should go back to the neutral name also of West County. I feel like buying uniforms, again, that was part of the discussion you were having, is unnecessary if we keep the same name. And I like the colors. I think it looks great. And it does make everybody feel welcome to wear the colors that they prefer. If you're an Anley kid and you want to wear blue, you can wear blue. If you're an Elmo kid and you want to wear red, that's okay. You aren't looked down upon. No one's belittled, although I know that sometimes happens, but it opens the door for kids to feel included from their previous school. So I would absolutely support keeping the colors that we currently have. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker is Bill. You should be in the room. Can you go ahead and unmute yourself? Bill, are you here? All right, Bill's left the building. Katie Ann, go ahead and unmute yourself.
Hi, my name is Katie Ann, and I'm a senior. The question stands, why should we keep the school colors red, blue, and gray? Why are we, the students, here tonight to voice our want for these colors? And I'm telling you right here and right now that these colors mean so much more than simply colors. We were forced into this uncomfortable position this year when both El Molino and Anley students were pushed together onto one campus. And in spite of that, we came together as one student body and built something, built a community worth being proud of. These school colors, they represent us. They show our unity. The sport teams that have come together despite the rivalry they had just last year under these colors, under the banner of red, blue, and gray spirit, these colors represent the students who go to school every day. Those very students who wear the red, blue, and gray spirit shirts with pride. These colors carry the beginning we were given this year. It carries the reconciliation and reinvigorated spirit and excitement and hope of this new school we've created at this campus. These school colors of red, blue, and gray, they deserve to be kept because they symbolize our growth, our perseverance, and our reconciliation in the face of loss, grief, and hurt. This year has been one that we've had to adapt to, a year full of taking chances and creating something new. And we did just that. So to ask, why do the colors of red, blue, and gray matter? Or why are we fighting for the name West County? We are fighting because of the courage, the determination, and the heart that embodies West County. We are fighting because of the voices you have heard today and the voices you'll hear tomorrow. We are fighting because West County and the colors red, blue, and gray are what our beginning has been shaped out of and what we have poured our hearts into. When you see the West County name and when you are looking at the school colors of red, blue, and gray, that is the school we have built. And that is the school we are asking you to keep. So please, we're asking you to keep the colors red, blue, and gray.
Thank you. Our next group of speakers are Drake Romero, Linda Teague Hilton, Lynn Gleason, Janelle Roventini, and Karis Morash. Drake, you have the floor. Everyone else, you'll be in the room here, but remind you not to unmute until I ask you to. Drake, you can go ahead and unmute yourself.
Howdy. So I believe the colors should stay red and blue, not only for homage to the Elmo population after the absorption, but it's quite literally the least you can do after ignoring the current students at West County for a considerable amount of time. And barely stepping foot on campus excluding this year, I believe you have no business making decisions of school morale, seeing you obviously don't know the school or the students who attend, and plus, how well did it turn out last time you made a choice like this for us? So please listen to the students and those under the West County name. Thank you. That is all.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Linda. Go ahead and unmute yourself.
Thank you. I wanted to agree with Julie. I wish there was more time to check in on this with a couple other people besides just maybe the ADs. But I would suggest, having been around athletics for a long time, the student athletes have always bought their own jerseys, so that's where it should go back to. And since you have black pants up the butt for football, I would say blue and black and red, and then gray if you want those for accent colors. But why go out and spend extra money? I know your teachers are looking for a raise. Why go out there and spend that money that you don't have to when you already have pants that are coming both from El Molino and Amley that are black? And it's a tradition, and I would love to see the red included and keep the Amley Tiger name. You know, that's what we are. Thanks so much.
Next speaker is Lynn Gleason. Go ahead and unmute yourself. Lynn, I can see that you've unmuted yourself. You can go ahead and talk. Hello? All right, looks like she's having technical difficulties. We're going to move on to Janelle Roventini.
Hi, I guess I kind of want to echo much of what Linda had to say. I think an excellent choice for the colors would be mainly blue and black with red and white. How more inclusive can we be of both schools? And we have, I'm sure, a plethora of all of these colors that would cut down on cost. We all know we don't have a lot of extra money to spend. I think it would be great if the kids could order their own jerseys again with their names on them. They could keep them at the end of the season, and we could probably get a higher quality jersey than the ones we've seen this year. We keep hearing about our district and how it doesn't have extra money to spend. I think changing the mascot would be so unnecessary. I truly have faith in our kids and believe they can come together under a tiger. I mean, I don't think that's hard and a lot to ask. And I also believe that at some point in time, El Molino will reopen and they will still have their lion. So some of these permanent changes that are being talked about, I think, are unnecessary. I think that's just about it. Yeah, blue, black, red, and white, and keep the tiger. Thanks.
Thank you. Next speaker is Karis Morash. Sorry if I butchered your last name.
Hi, I'm Karis Morash, a sophomore at West County. To address the proposition Board Member Julie Aiello brought up earlier about creating a way to take in student and community input to educate the board on big decisions, we, the students, have consistently told you what we want and how we feel about consolidation, about the name change, yet board members consistently ignore our voices when they don't align with the board's views. I urge you to vote to keep our school's colors red, blue, and gray. Since the start of this year, we have rallied around our colors. One of my first and best experiences at this school was the first football game of the year. The stands were packed with red and blue. Everyone's so full of energy and appreciation for this team and this school. It was school spirit on a level I have never seen before. Every seat was full of students wearing red and blue. Everyone was cheering. In those earliest days of our school, those colors united us. Our athletes have played in those colors throughout the year. Our cross-country team, JV and varsity, boys and girls, were all undefeated this season, the first time in the histories of both Emily and Annalee. That team made school history wearing red and blue. It's disrespectful to talented athletes to ask them to play wearing colors that don't represent them. After all the victories and the amount of school spirit we've experienced this year, those colors represent us. They are a reflection of the school culture we've worked hard to build. A culture, of course, we built under the name West County. I ask you to preserve that culture every way you can. It'll take more than just colors to preserve the culture that we've worked so hard to build, but keeping the colors we've grown to love is a first step in listening to your students. Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to attempt one more time to get Lynn here. Lynn, can you go ahead and unmute yourself?
Sorry about that. I'm just going with everybody. I agree that we should be the red, blue, and the gray. Throw black in there because we have the black pants already. And leave it at that. Annalee Tiger, the Annalee Tigers with the colors. And there's really, I don't think needs to be any more discussion. I think it's an agreeable situation, a compromise, and coming together.
Okay. Thank you, everyone. Bringing it back to the board for comments, last second questions.
Just had a quick question.
Yes, Andrew.
In years prior, I'm not sure if you know the answer to this or if anybody does. The teams have used, I know the Annalee team chose black pants one year. I don't know, was that something that needed board approval or did they just choose black pants? Are there ways teams can choose accent colors or does it always have to have board approval? I have like a two-part question. So that's the first.
I mean, I don't think they needed board approval to order the pants. I know like one year the volleyball jerseys, were primarily black with blue and white. I think what direction we're looking for here is more just kind of a definition of the permanent colors. If we have black pants, you can wear black pants. It's not a problem. I think we're just trying to come with the direction of this is the color scheme. This is where we're headed in the future.
Right. And we did this same thing a year ago, right? Like that's why we got to where we were last year because this was coming up again. So it isn't like this came out of the blue or it's a surprise. Like it's something that we have to do every year. Do we know, are we just talking about football jerseys right now? And do we know how that's going to be paid for?
We're working on that. I think we're going to be able to get some assistance with that. But right now we're looking to get the color scheme, and then we need to get a quote, and then we can get that gap closed.
Thank you.
Patrick?
Yes, Jean.
Okay. So I wanted to thank everybody for their comments because I really, before I made a decision, I wanted to hear what people thought and felt. I agree with what Angie just said about the black. Both of our schools for years have at different times worn black pants, especially. The volleyball girls, I think, almost always wear black shorts. And I know that football has always interchangeably worn, black, wooden, white. I don't know that they ever had blue bottoms. Regardless, I think a great compromise for us, and Coach Roan actually said it, and that is black, blue, red, and white. Those are the two schools' colors. I'm not quite sure where the gray came from. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that, and I'm not being rude to anybody, please don't take it that way. I'm not quite sure where the color gray that was chosen came from, but not the most flattering color of gray. I think maybe it was chosen because it was a combination of of black and white, and so that's maybe why it went that way. But I would love to recommend that we go with black, blue, red, and white, and let the coaches decide how they're going to use that combination of colors. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I love the idea, what everybody's been talking about, of the two colors from the two schools. Exactly. That's exactly what we should be doing. So thank you. And I also like the comment that's been made with regards to maybe a better quality jersey and letting the kids purchase those jerseys, because I know a lot of them would love their names on them. And just because there was some money put into a budget from last year to buy uniforms doesn't mean, number one, that the board needs to spend that money on that. And number two, it also, we need to be very cautious because we do have a very tight budget. And like someone said, our teachers have asked for a significant raise. So we need to not spend frivolously if we don't need to. Thank you.
Angie?
I would just say my only concern is what I just heard a theme throughout. The schools really embrace these colors and they've already felt like something was ripped from them. I just hate to support taking another thing from them. If this is something, I've seen it personally that the school and staff have embraced these colors. So, it's kind of like when we had a name established, like if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Like I just think keeping it where it is and that people are happy and embracing and speaking up for that, I support that.
Thank you. Kelly? I'll get to you next, Julie.
Yeah, just a question around, so our current uniforms, my understanding last year was that those could be used for practice uniforms. So even if we added the black and white as sort of a permanent part of the color scheme and not gray, my understanding is we could still use those as practice uniforms, correct?
Sure.
Yeah. And then the other piece too is generally, I know Angie, you mentioned that like these decisions around colors might come back. Generally, once we have colors, like we don't, correct? And I think what you said, Patrick, is accurate. Teams have their own flexibility with their practice uniforms or
accent colors, I think.
For accent colors. But these are just like what we're saying our school colors would be. So we would embrace these colors across the campus, et cetera. But, and I think if people feel better, I think why we landed on gray, if I remember correctly, Jeannie, I think it was the black and the white sort of combined making gray. I think that's why we landed on gray. So if we wanted to split that out and go back to the black and white, I don't know that necessarily is a bad idea. The other question I have is just that our motion on the floor is to approve school colors. So if we do get to the point of voting on this, now that we're having some discussion about what types of accent colors may be permanently added and or not, we should probably be specific in the motion around what specific colors we're talking about. So those are my only comments.
Go ahead, Julie.
I heard several of the kids mention gray. So if, here's where I get concerned, because if they're really interested in keeping the gray, then I think that's what, we should do, because that's what they mentioned and it was red, blue, and gray. So
For
I don't think we should just quickly change it to black and white. That
For
makes me
clarification
nervous.
purposes, Angie's motion was to approve blue, red, and gray for the school colors.
No, that is not what she said. She said she.
That's what I was making the motion for.
That's not what was.
That's what's on the agenda.
Okay, hold on.
I was making a motion for that.
Then I must have heard. Angie, what was your motion? Because I thought your motion
was to approve what was on the agenda, which is the black, red, and gray.
The black, red, and gray, or blue, red, and gray?
Or excuse me, the blue, red, and gray. Sorry, it's getting late.
Okay.
What was on the agenda?
I think if Karen were to read that back, it would be reading differently. But
I read the motion that's on the agenda. It's pretty straightforward.
Okay. Dylan, do you have anything you want to add on this?
Yeah, Angie did say blue, red, and gray.
Okay.
And yeah, I believe that the students definitely, they have adapted to this new identity at school. And like they said, the least you could do is keep the colors that represent both communities and both schools. And yeah.
Okay. So just so everybody's clear, Angie, can you remake your motion, please? Because I want to make sure this is done.
Hold on, let me move my screen around. I move that we approve the school colors for the comprehensive high school of blue, red, and gray. Can I just make a quick little demo? Like, the point of my earlier comment was that the teams in the past, the volleyball girls choose black shorts. Like it's very simple with uniforms. If you know anything, like the white and the black can be accent colors. Like that's not something that we need to like beat to death. And the coaches and probably the athletic directors, if they're available, could attest to that. The school colors, like you can use accent colors or shorts or pants. The teams in the past have done that without board approval. So that's not something that we need to beat to death.
And I amend my second.
Yeah.
Yeah, I made the second, so I have to amend. She
Yes.
just made her official motion.
Mhm.
So I'm amending my second that, yes, I'm okay with what she just said.
Perfect. So the motion on the floor is to make permanent the colors blue, red, and gray for the comprehensive high school. I'm going to make my comments and then we'd like to vote. This was brought to me by athletic director that this is the direction they would like to go. And I think we heard pretty overwhelmingly that this is where the kids want to go. So I think this is something that we should do. With that, we're going to vote. Roll call vote. We'll start with Trustee Lewis.
Aye.
Trustee Noe.
Aye.
Trustee Fernandez.
no.
Okay. Trustee Ayala.
Aye.
Trustee Pena Perez.
Aye.
And Trustee Nagel votes aye. Motion carries 4-1. Okay, moving on. Section C, Business Services. Item number 1, consideration of approval of monthly budget update for 2021-22. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
I'll second.
Thank you, Julie. Andrew.
All right, well, good evening again. And our routine monthly item of the budget revisions that have been done during January. We do have some changes to the general fund, ending fund balance, changes in Fund 13, Fund 40 and 21 as to expenditures being booked and revenue being received. So I request that if you have any questions.
Does anyone on the board have any questions? Hearing no questions, do we have any public questions regarding the approval of the monthly budget?
No comments.
Thank you, ma'am. We will roll call vote. Trustee Noe?
Aye.
Trustee Lewis?
Aye.
Trustee Ayala?
Aye.
Trustee Fernandez?
Aye.
Trustee Pena Perez?
Aye.
I'm on a roll, buddy. And Trustee Nagel votes aye. Motion carries. Moving on to item number 2, consideration of approval of district audit report for 2020 and 2021. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
Thank you, Julie. Second.
I'll second.
Thank you, Jeannie. Andrew.
All right, so tonight we have the audit report for school year 2021 that was completed for this past few months, past half year. Tonight we have Kyle Montgomery from Christy White that will go over the audit, and I just want to thank them for all their work in this and their collaboration and making sure that our finances are sound and all the staff work of our staff that goes into making sure that this audit report is completed. So Kyle.
All right. Thank you, Andrew. And thank you to everyone on your end, you and your team, for helping us get through this year's audit. I know it's been challenging over the past couple of years, especially with transitioning to a remote environment. And so once again, we just want to thank you for your assistance with getting this completed. So I am here to present the annual financial audit for the year ended June 30, 2021. This audit report provides opinions in 3 areas. The first is the opinion on the financial statements. There's an additional report there on internal control over financial reporting, but it's important to note that this is not an opinion being issued on internal controls. The next 2 opinions are compliance related. One is on federal compliance and the second is on state compliance. And so the focus of this presentation is going to be really on the audit results themselves and looking at those results and the opinions that we've issued. If you've taken a look at the report, it comes in at about, I think, 86 pages this year. So if you haven't, I urge you to take some time to go through that report when you have some time. But, for the purpose of this presentation, we'll just be looking specifically at those 3 audit opinions that we've issued. The first one is the opinion on the financial statements, which is unmodified. That is the best possible opinion that can be provided at the end of an audit. And basically how that reads is that the financial statements are presented fairly in all material respects and fairly represent the financial position of the district as of June 30th, 2021. And this opinion is outlined in detail at the bottom of page 1 in the audit report. The next report that we have is the report on internal control over financial reporting. So as I previously said, we do not issue an opinion on internal controls over financial reporting, but we do go through and review controls, assess risk related to those controls in planning the audit procedures that we're going to perform. So in that planning phase. And during that phase, if we note any sort of significant deficiencies in controls or material weaknesses, we will report those in the audit report. But for this year, I'm happy to report that we didn't note any such deficiencies or weaknesses in internal controls. And this report is on page 68 of the audit. All right, so the second audit opinion is going to be on federal compliance. This, again, is an unmodified opinion. This report's going to be on page 70. And so what we have to do is go through and look at all the various programs that the district receives federal funding for and make some major program assessments, really look at those federal programs that the district is receiving the most money for, and sort of strategically select what are our major programs that we're going to test this year. And for this year, it was CRF, learning loss mitigation. Obviously, that made up a pretty significant portion of the federal funding that the district received this year. So with that was an unmodified opinion, and we didn't note any sort of findings or question costs in this area. The final opinion is the opinion on state compliance. This is also an unmodified opinion. That's going to be on page 72 is where that opinion is outlined in detail. And we did not have any findings or question costs to report with respect to state compliance. This next slide goes into a little bit more detail on the audit procedures that we are required to perform by the state in their K-12 audit guide. They outline each year each of the procedures that we're required to perform. As you can see here, that's a pretty lengthy list, but sort of the core areas that we're looking at there are attendance, instructional time, some of the funding, the state funding programs that the district receives funds for, unduplicated pupil counts, and then a few other miscellaneous areas. And this last slide here is going to be our summary of auditors' results. This is always the one page that I direct board members and management to see sort of a one-page snapshot of our results. This is going to be on page 74, and as you can see, it's broken down into 3 sections, which specifies the opinion and whether or not findings were issued in each area, and then it also shows the major program there that we audited for federal compliance purposes, being the CRF learning loss mitigation. And that just about does it for this presentation. So I'll go ahead and open it up to any questions if there are any.
Okay. Anyone on the board have any questions for Mr. Montgomery? Okay, doesn't appear that we do. At this time, we should open up for public questions or comments. Anyone has any questions or comments regarding the audit report? Now would be the time to raise your hand so that Jenny can call on you.
No comments.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else from the board have anything before we vote? Okay. Roll call vote. Trustee Aiello.
Aye.
Trustee Fernandez.
Aye.
Trustee Noe.
Aye.
Oh man. Trustee Lewis.
Aye.
Trustee Pena Perez.
Aye.
Trustee Nagel votes aye. I lost my place. I couldn't remember who had voted. A motion carries 5-0. I thank you, Mr. Montgomery, for joining us this evening.
Thank you.
Thank you, Andrew. Moving on to section D, human resources. Item number 1, considerations of approval of the monthly personnel report. Can I have a motion, please?
I move that we approve the monthly personnel report.
Thank you, Angie.
I'll second.
Thank you, Julie. Mia.
Okay, I don't have any updates to the personnel report that was posted with the board agenda on Friday.
Okay. So if there's no updates, do we still vote to approve it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah.
And we don't take public comments, do we, on this, or do we?
You
do?
can.
Okay.
Yeah, we have to take public comment on every item.
All right. Before we take public comment, any comments from anyone on the board? Perfect. If you would like to comment, anyone in the public on the monthly personnel report, please raise your hand and Jenny will call on you.
No comments.
Thank you, ma'am. Bring it back. We will vote. Trustee Lewis.
Sorry, my cursor gets lost. Aye.
Trustee Aiello.
Aye.
Trustee Fernandez.
Aye.
Trustee Noe.
Aye.
Trustee Nagel votes aye. I didn't skip you. I just can't vote on you. Thank you. Moving on to item number 2, consideration of approval of revisions to the auxiliary salary schedule. Can I have a motion, please?
I move that we approve the revisions of the auxiliary salary schedule.
Thank you, Julie. Second.
Second.
Thank you, Kelly. Mia.
Okay, the revisions to the auxiliary salary schedule include adding an interim superintendent's daily rate of $600 a day. We are required to have that on a salary schedule, so the most appropriate place for us to place that is on this auxiliary salary schedule, and it's noted in bold on the schedule.
Okay, any questions from the board? Questions from the public regarding this revision to the auxiliary salary schedule?
Nope.
Thank you.
No questions.
Thank you, ma'am. Roll call vote. Trustee Aiello.
Aye.
Trustee Noe?
Aye.
Trustee Lewis?
Aye.
Trustee Fernandez?
Aye.
Trustee Nagel votes aye. Motion carries 5-0. Item number 3, consideration of approval of employment agreement between West Sonoma County Union High School District and an interim superintendent. May I have a motion to approve, please?
I move we approve the agreement between West Sonoma County Union High School District and the interim superintendent.
I second.
Who seconded that? I didn't catch it. Was that you, Julie? Oh, Jeannie. Jeannie. Thank you, Jeannie. Okay.
All right. So Dr. Evans is only able to be here with our district through the end of February, and we thank him for coming in and helping us out in a very timely manner. We appreciate it. And what I did is I worked with John Laughlin, who is the Assistant Superintendent of Human Resources at SCO, and he has an active list of retired administrators in our county that will help out districts in need. There is about 11 individuals on that list that have been superintendents, and I reached out to all of them, including Eric Hobbs. And originally, he wasn't able to help us because he had a family commitment. And all of the other retired superintendents that I talked to either had other commitments with another district or had vacation plans or had family obligations. But then I did hear back from Mr. Hobbs, and he said that he would be able to help us out, but not until March 1st, which actually the timing of it worked out very well for us. And he's able to help us out through the end of June. So President Nagel and I met with him, and we went over the district's current needs, and he let us know where his strengths are. And we talked to some people, and one of the things that he is very good at is communication and building relationships. He likes to be out on the campuses and likes to attend extracurricular activities. And he also assisted in the recruitment of the Gravenstein superintendent and ensured that they had a smooth transition. So President Nagel and I felt like he would be a good fit for our district, and he's agreed to come on board. And he's actually here tonight. So does anyone have any questions?
Anyone from the board have any questions? Yes, Angie.
We just say welcome and thank you.
You probably should go before we say welcome, but yes. Anyone from the public have any questions or comments?
And Julie, did you have a comment? You looked like you were putting your hand up.
I'm sorry, I didn't see it. I'm sorry.
I just wanted to say I've heard great things about you and welcome.
And you do have one public comment right now.
Okay.
And Leah Woody, you have the floor. I'll start the clock on the other end.
Yes, I'd like to just introduce myself to Dr. Evans and thank you for that very, very stressed, you're under a lot of, thank you for the LCAP information. I look forward to meeting you. Please come by the library. I'm in the library. I'm the college and career coordinator. I've been in the district, lived in the district for 25 years and grew up in Sonoma County. And I'm partners with the librarian, Miss McClellan. So please, let's make a time to get to know each other. I look forward to it. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you. Bringing it back to the board for a vote. Let's start with Trustee Noe.
Aye.
Trustee Fernandez.
Aye.
Trustee Aiello.
Aye.
And Trustee Lewis.
Aye.
Trustee Nagel votes aye. Unfortunately, Dylan, you can't vote because it's personnel matter. So the motion carries 5-0.
Great.
Welcome.
Now we can officially say welcome.
Yeah, welcome, sir. would you like
Thank
to
you.
make a statement to us here this evening?
Sure. I'm very excited to work with the West Sonoma County Union High School District and the community as a whole. 38 years in education before I retired, 36 down at Petaluma, and had many a tight contest in basketball against Elmo and Anley. So know a little bit of history here. Just very excited. I had 10 years as an elementary school principal superintendent, and then have done 4 interims since then, the first being at Gravenstein, and have helped with the hiring of each of those 4 new superintendents. So just excited to help out and get to know folks.
Your in-laws went in. Thank you, sir. We're excited to have you and work with you to help us through this transitional time. So thank you very much, and welcome. Okay.
Welcome, Eric. Really appreciate you joining us.
Yeah, thank you. And again, excited to get going and help out.
Okay.
Patrick, I also would like to say a huge thank you to Dr. Evans for stepping in when we needed you. I really appreciate it. And albeit for a very short period of time, I think very helpful. So thank you very much.
We still have him for 3 more weeks, but we're not done with him yet. 3 more weeks of Dr. Evans, but no, of course. Thank you as well, Dr. Evans, for stepping in and helping us through.
We
transition.
just won't have another board meeting to say thank you.
Anything else before we move on? All right, thank you all. Moving on to item number 4, superintendent recruitment timeline. This is strictly a discussion item. Mia's looking for a little input, so Mia, take it away.
Yes, so I've included a proposed timeline for the recruitment of the superintendent, and it is a very aggressive timeline, but I have just learned in the last 10 days that Old Adobe is looking for a superintendent, and just recently I got a vacancy announcement for Bellevue is also looking for a superintendent. So I would like to try to get this started as soon as possible. And I did include a timeline in the board agenda item, and then as well as the makeup of our committees. And so does any of the board have any questions, comments, or suggestions?
Kelly.
Yeah, I think this looks great, Mia, and thank you. I know it's hard to put together such an aggressive timeline, and I know that just is more stressful on your end. So just always, as always, appreciate you so much. A question just about the timeline for interviews. The current dates, April 15th and April 16th. April 15th is actually Passover and Good Friday. And April 16th, that is Saturday, is I probably still, Passover goes for 24 hours and then you move into Easter.
Okay, I did not realize, I wasn't even thinking about that, Kelly. Okay.
I just realized because I looked at my calendar and to see if I would be available for work reasons. And I was like, oh, okay. So yes. And I'm wondering if we can adjust those dates slightly, maybe to the following, probably it would be easiest the following week.
Yeah. Let me go through the calendar and look at that. And then what I can do is send out an email with an updated schedule for interviews. I actually had a really nice conversation with Eric about this because he has done several superintendent recruitments, and we talked about the timing of the interviews. And so we were trying to do the board's final interviews the following day after the initial interviews, or at the most, maybe one day in between. So I'll sit down and look at the calendar again and see if I can come up with some proposed dates that don't conflict with the Passover.
Great, thank you, Mia. Anyone else with questions? Yes, Julie.
What does the interview team look like? How many people and who are included?
So we always have a paper screening committee, and right now that committee makeup is of 7 members. I have 1 superintendent from Sonoma County. I usually try to recruit somebody that's in our area out here in West County, and if I can't get anybody, then I'll see if I can find a retired administrator to sit on that committee, 1 current site administrator, 1 trustee, 2 teachers or 2 certificated members, 1 classified member, and 1 confidential member. And then the actual selection advisory committee, which is the main interview committee, the makeup I have listed is 2 site administrators, 1 trustee, 2 certificated members, 1 classified member, 1 confidential member, 1 parent/community member, 1 student, the chief business official, and the director of facilities maintenance and operations. And the final interview committee is always the entire board.
Mia, I would love Mia. Oh, sorry, I was just.
Go ahead, Kelly.
Just to consider diversity on our interview committees too, as well. I know that's something in the past that we have thought about. So that would be important.
Yes, thank you.
My comment, Mia, is that could not Eric, our interim superintendent, be on the paper screening committee? Wouldn't that maybe be an alternative for us instead of trying to bring somebody else in?
Mm-hmm. Oh, sure. We can definitely do that.
I would be agreeable to that. Sure.
I have a question. Is there some particular reason why teachers are not on the final interview?
The final interview has always been, traditionally in our district, and I know in other districts, it's always the school board.
Yeah.
All members of the school board.
We take the recommendation from the selection advisory committee. I guess I shouldn't say recommendation. They kind of rank people.
And they recommend who should.
And then the board gets to make the final decision.
Which I think, I mean, just thinking of that, I mean, this is our one direct report.
It's our job.
And I mean, just thinking about, how that interview structure works in other entities, like generally when I'm the hiring manager, I have other interview committees that interview that send me the final candidates. And then I'm the, on that final committee. So I think that's why,
and the superintendent always reports directly to the board, so it's their final decision.
Yeah, I get that. It just, the teachers are so important in this process. It just
that's why they're a part of the advisory committee for certain.
Yeah, I do have 2 certificated members on the paper screening committee and 2 on the interview committee, selection advisory committee.
Okay. Any other questions on this from the board? Throw it out to the community. Any questions on the community on the timeline and process of the hiring of the superintendent?
I don't see any hands raised.
Thank you, ma'am.
Wait, hold on. Got one.
Okay.
Leah Woody, you have the floor.
Okay. First, I just want to make a request, okay? Although I appreciate everyone here, of course, please, Jeannie, if you could just give it a little bit more of a pause between you asking, President Nagel asking if there's speakers that want to talk and you looking, just give it a pause because I'm really slow on the uptake right now. I think we all are. Thank you. So going back to what I appreciate this conversation a lot because I'm not quite sure what Jeannie was asking, like an incoming, I think what's really kind of what we're suffering from and wanting from our district right now is more input, right? And so Jeannie Fernandez just asked for Eric, who I don't know. I understand. I heard your background and I appreciate your abilities for sure. but I'm not quite sure how much you know about our community. So that you would be part of a hiring board for a superintendent doesn't make very much sense. I appreciate Julie's feedback on asking about teachers and looking at this a little bit further. That's it. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Thank you. Okay, Mia, it sounds like you just need to tweak the calendar a little bit to fix the Good Friday and Passover and whatnot, and we'll get cracking.
I'll do that.
Thank you for working on that. Let's move on. We're getting close to the end here, people. So let's charge ahead. Item number 5, consideration of approval of the 2022-2023 school year calendar. Can I have a motion, please?
So moved.
So moved from Angie. Thank you. Second. Thank you, Kelly. Mia.
Okay, so the district and WSCTA negotiating team did mutually agree on the calendar that was presented in the board packet. And I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew that there was an error in the month of July. I had Monday, July 26th and Tuesday, July 26th. So I fixed that, but it doesn't affect the school year calendar instructional days or teaching days for our teachers. And then I just want to make sure that the board knows that they are approving this calendar pending WSCTA's ratification, and they are taking their vote on February 18th. Does anybody have any questions about the calendar?
Any questions for Mia on the calendar? Any questions from the public on the school calendar?
Yes. Leah, do you have a question? Nope, seeing none.
Thank you, ma'am. Let's go ahead and vote. Roll call vote. Trustee Lewis?
Aye.
Trustee Noe?
Aye.
Trustee Ayala?
Aye.
Trustee Fernandez?
Aye.
Trustee Pena Perez?
Aye.
And Trustee Nagel votes aye. Motion carries 5-0. Moving on to item number 6, consideration of approval of resolution number 9, February 2021-2022, to decrease the number of classified employees due to lack of work and/or lack of funds. Do I have a motion? Okay.
I'm
So moved.
second.
Thank you, Jeannie. Thank you, Kelly.
Okay, so due to the depletion of the COVID funds, the district is recommending the elimination of the following positions, which include a 1.0 FTE Administrative Assistant 1, a 1.0 FTE Custodian 1, a 1.0 FTE Outreach Therapist, and a 0.5 FTE Food Service Worker. Two of the the food service worker position is vacant, and the outreach therapist position, we actually were not able to fill it. So we worked with West County Community Services, and they have provided an employee to serve in this position for us. And we will notify them to let them know that we don't have the funds to continue this position for next school year, but it doesn't affect any of our current outreach therapists that are employed by our district. And we have met with the other 2 employees, and they understand that this is going to be happening tonight at this board meeting, and their letters will be delivered tomorrow. The actual layoff, they do have a position through the end of the school year, so this will take effect at the end of the school year. But we are required to notify classified staff prior to the March 15th deadline.
Okay. Questions? Okay.
A quick question.
Yes, Andy.
I just don't know, have we heard from staff how dependent they are? Because I know the school's a lot bigger, and I've just gotten a tone from the staff that they are short-staffed. So I'm just a little concerned about, eliminating some of these. I know that, they were paid through one-time funds, but I'm just curious if I know we're under a deadline too, but how dependent, the staff is on these people.
I do believe that, or especially our office staff, is dependent on this administrative assistant one. I believe it was Julie McClellan that in her report, her CSEA report, stated that because of this position, we were able to get all of the emergency information into our ARIES student system. And when we did have an emergency, that information was put in there, and it was of a huge help to the site administration in those situations. And he's also been able to help with a lot of the COVID contact tracing and give Rachel Lassick some support in that area. And then also helping with the attendance clerk. I know in particular, he's helped Gina quite a bit. So if there's any way that we can find some money to bring the assistant or the administrative assistant position back, I know that the office staff and the site administration will be extremely grateful. And that's also the same with the custodian one. We are, we have more students and staff on the campus, and we don't have that. We are operating on very few classified employees as it is. And so this is another position that if we could somehow find money, or if there's some one-time dollars that come, that maybe we could bring this position back to.
Do we have the cost of what we're looking at here? I just feel like we need more information.
I don't have the cost off the top of my head or at my fingertips at what each one of these positions costs, but I can get that information to you, but I don't have it for you right now.
Well, and Mia, you said that these were paid out of COVID dollars.
Yes.
So and generally we don't cut it's odd that we're eliminating positions mid-year. Generally we do that on like
we're not cycle. Yeah. It's not mid-year. We're just there's new regulation with classified staff that they have to be noticed prior to March 15th.
Okay.
So these positions are through the entire school year, but we're doing these layoffs now in February, but that's only because we have the preliminary layoff notices coming for certificated in March. So we're doing this one a little bit earlier than what we normally do, but these positions don't take it, the layoff doesn't take effect until the end of the school year.
So we still have COVID dollars to pay them through the end of the school year.
Correct. Yes.
So, is this sort of like, oftentimes with our certificated staff, we give layoff notices on March 15th by that deadline. And often, we're able to kind of bring back a lot of those positions. So for our process, this is the deadline for tonight. We would have to do this if worst case scenario, we can't figure out another funding stream that comes to be able to hopefully not be able to eliminate these positions.
Absolutely.
And we could do that research and maybe figure out a plan because I agree. That was going to be my question too, Angie, is like, what is our plan to how do we, it seems like these two positions are critical from the emails and the comments and the feedback that I've gotten. And how are we going to absorb these duties into other positions? Like, where does that even fall and how do we even do that?
Mia, can I ask a question? Can we get a financial breakdown of what this means, and can we bring this back on March 2nd? Because, we're getting a lot of discussion about the criticalness of these positions. And I know we have a lot going on, but I just feel like if we maybe could take a sharper look at the pencil and look where we're at, and if this is where we are, this is where we are. But I would feel more comfortable personally if I had a better understanding of the dollars involved, maybe where there are opportunities that we could look at. And, we could still, if we voted on March 2nd, we would still have time to meet the deadline. Am I wrong in saying that?
That's correct. But Andrew, you can correct me if I'm wrong. These elimination of these positions were already built into the budget when Andrew gave his budget presentation back in December, that these positions would be eliminated And so that budget presentation that Andrew gave showed the elimination of these positions, and that's affects our budget 3 years out.
I understand.
You're correct. So
yeah, that's correct. So I mean, these are new positions that were put in place just this year. They're not positions that have been ongoing. So they were just new this year with those one-time dollars. But we can always go back and look to see what those costs are and bring that back.
But we could go ahead and move forward with taking the vote tonight. And if we're able to bring these positions back, we would notify the employees as soon as possible. And that's the exact conversation that I've had with them.
And just to chime in here, I advocated in cabinet last week that the custodian position be restored. It is absolutely vital to our department right now, especially with COVID and people being out on leave anywhere between 5 and 7 days. This isn't just a position that's doing extra work. It is actually doing the work of the people who are off, and it is filling a massive void. So they've heard from MOT in terms of this is a vital position, and they have assured me that they will go and look at the budget to see if they can figure this out. But this is just a necessary step between now and when we have to give formal notice. So I just wanted people to know that we are talking about that.
Oh yeah, all departments have advocated for their positions. So yeah.
Sure. Patrick?
No, I'm thinking. I don't have a comment.
No, I make
Jeannie,
a comment?
I'm sorry. Of course, Jeannie, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. So number one, as Andrew has stated, and Mia also, that this is has been built into the budget, the unfortunate release of these employees, as vital as they all are. We have to be fiscally responsible with one-time funds. If we're not going to have these continued funds, I don't know how we can continue with these positions. As important as they are and may be and might continue to be, I think we need to be very wary, period. I am more than happy to look at it again, but I agree with me. I think we need to vote on this and do our due diligence here. And if there's a way to bring these positions back, then we can do that.
Okay. Any other questions from the board? Open it up for public questions on this item.
You have public comments, and I also have one that was emailed to us that I'm going to read before everyone else.
Okay.
This is from Gina Macias. I'm emailing you to ask for consideration to keep the administrative assistant and custodian. I know that to you may it seem like there's no work for them to do, but reality is that you don't know how much work there is because you're not present on campus on a daily basis to be able to see how swamped we are, especially classified. The amount of work the administrative assistant has taken from the registrar, attendants, and others aside from COVID is huge. It has alleviated the amount of overtime that each and every clerical person has had to put in since day one for consolidation. I know that my plea may be nothing to you, but just like we also have families, children, and grandchildren, and would love to spend time with them instead of working 10 to 12-hour shifts. I challenge you to take a part on campus for a whole entire day with us classified before you go on and continue to cut the people who run the school, because without classified employees, there is no clean campus, there is no attendance accounting, there is no enrollment. Consider this before making changes to the lowest paid yet the busiest. Thank you for your time. Our next two speakers are Julie McClelland and Rye. Julie, you have the floor. I'll start the clock in a second.
Thank you very much. Hi, it's Julie McClelland. I'm the librarian. I know everybody doesn't necessarily know me. I spoke earlier for the CSEA statement, and I just want to reiterate, these are positions that previously existed in the past, were cut in budget cuts. When we were 2 campuses, we are now one very full campus. These are absolutely needed people. These are not extra. I challenge you, and this is going to be an unpopular statement, but the cost of buying out our superintendent's contract would have more than covered these 2 positions. So I would like for you to really think and dig deep and find money to pay for these people to keep our campus safe and to keep our employees not working 10 to 12 hours a day. Thank you.
Thank you. Our next speaker is Rye. You have the floor.
Thanks, Jenny. I just wanted to I don't speak very much. Good evening, board. I don't speak much at all in the board meetings. I'm in the background listening constantly. One thing that I want to say about the food service worker positions is that this position was not a new position. It was recommended with the 21-22 Budget Advisory Committee, right, to have a regular amount of cuts, right? We had $1.5 million that we needed to cut from the budget, and the two positions were some of the cut positions. It was also, I remember with board discussion, it was also that those positions would be put at the top of the priority list to return. When opening the school year, we opened with down one. We were granted access to have one position back, not the second. But with the universal feeding, the amount of food that we're doing on site, the combat with the bell schedule, in addition to having to operate out at Laguna High School as well with very minimal staff, has been extremely difficult. We are going to continue universal feeding next year, and I just want to say that a 0.5 FTE without benefits for a food service worker is not a big dime in comparison to the budget and the bottom line dollars that come out. I'm also going to advocate, of course, for office personnel and the custodial crew. It has been a bit of a pill for us all across the campus in every department to make things work for all of our students. And I understand that this is something that could come back and be granted early on, but this leaves me on the floor regularly to do work. So if we're not paying a 0.5 FTE, lowest paid position in the district without benefits, you're also paying my overtime and whatnot. So where's the balance there? Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. Thank you, Rye, for your comments. So I'll bring it back to the board. Comments, discussions, questions? Yes, Angie.
I think we should wait and bring it back.
Thank you. Okay. So let's go ahead and vote.
Can I ask a follow-up to Mia? I mean, what happens with your timeline if we would wait on this? I mean, what does that mean for the official process? I mean, I know that's what I'm saying. Sometimes we have to walk these weird motions because we're required by outside entities to meet certain deadlines. Mm-hmm. So I just want to understand what it means to wait to the March 2nd board meeting.
So, yeah, based on March 2nd board meeting, if we bring this back and we do our preliminary layoff notices, we will be doing all of them at the same time, and all of those notices have to be, after the board approves them, all of those packets have to be put together and distributed to each one of those employees. And we always deliver them by hand, we hand deliver those, and that has to be done prior to March 15th. So it's just the timing of making sure that all of the employees receive that notification in advance. And then we also have our temporary certificated employees that are also noticed at that March 2nd board meeting. So,
and then Andrea,
a lot of notices that have to be delivered prior to the March 15th.
Yeah, and what does it mean for the budget? I mean, I don't know that by March 2nd, we would necessarily have clarity on any additional funding streams that might be coming down. So if we wouldn't approve those on the March 2nd, does that mean we'd have to go back to SCO and update the budget that we turned in to them?
I don't know, Andrew, you can answer.
No, it would just be part of our second interim and what that looks like. So it just adjusts everything. So if we know we're not going to do it, then we need to build that in that we're not going to do it. So I would just need direction as to what's going to happen. We bring second interim, although it's through January expenditures. If we know some outcomes that are going to be happening, we can start to build that into our MYP.
Julie has a comment, Patrick.
Yeah, Julie.
Well, I just think because it was one-time money that we need to vote on this and hope that we can find money to replace the money that's going. But I don't see how we can, unfortunately, not vote on this when the money just is right now looks like it's going away.
Okay. Yes, Angie.
Just real quick, I'm a parent of kids in the district. When you tell me that these people are directly affecting, how many kids get fed, whether the campus is clean, or, the administrative assistants making sure all the safety protocols for getting all the information in for, emergencies we have. As a board member and a parent, this is a no-brainer. Like, this is something we have to find. It doesn't make sense to do it any other way to me. But I don't believe in skimping on safety or feeding our kids or cleanliness. So if we have to vote, then I would say we vote to keep them.
Okay.
But I guess if we vote to, I guess I would ask then, what are we cutting in order to keep them?
Yeah.
And that's what we need to, I would love to, I think these positions are critical, and I don't feel like at least me personally, like feeding our children, and yes, safety is of utmost importance. And I'm just struggling to understand, back to the point that we already built these into our budget and it's one-time funds. And we have a lot of other difficult budget decisions coming up. What might we consider looking at eliminating instead of these positions? I mean, that needs to be the discussion.
And that's going to have to be determined prior to March 15th, because if it isn't determined prior to March 15th and we don't do these layoffs, it's too late to go back and notify these employees.
And that's why you vote, and then you hopefully can find the money or be given the money so you can bring them back. That's the process that you go through.
I see Andrew shaking his head. Yes, that is the process. I think we all could agree, Angie, that these are probably very much needed positions, but it is the problem about hiring people with one-time money. And they might be absolutely a necessity. We're a necessity when we hired them. And unfortunately, if we're not given the money to continue with their employment, then we're stuck between a rock and a hard place. And then we have to decide, what are we going to cut to then keep these people on? So I think the only right thing to do, only fiscally responsibly thing to do, is that we follow our process, which is we lay these folks off, give them that notice, and if we can find the money, or if money is given back to us, because who knows, we may get more money from the state for this, then we can bring them back.
Which a lot of times, I mean, Mia, you're so good. And when we get to these budget hard times, I mean, we've gotten to the point, we do often bring positions back. And I know, we don't know what's going to be coming down the pike around additional funding and these positions. I know Ty just said that I mean, a half-time food service worker, I know we don't have the numbers, but I just did quick math on my end to see the amount that most likely would be for the year without benefits. We're not talking about that much. And so hopefully if we find some additional resources, we'd be able to make it work. But I know that there's going to be a lot of other decisions that need to be made as well.
So I think what we need to do is, I think we need to call the vote, and we need to have a discussion at a later time about kind of prioritizing what we bring back if there is monies or extra monies that get allocated, so that we have a very clear, kind of, hey, if we get this money, that we're going to bring back this position and this position, and here's our first choice, our second choice. But, I think, to sum it up, and I don't want to take too much time, but I mean, unfortunately, this process is horrible and it leaves us in a horrible position. It's not a process of our making. This is the law that we have to follow. And, we have to follow the law, and we have to give Mia and her team, which is Mia, the time to do the things that she needs to do. And so I'm going to call for the vote. And then, Andrew, what I would like you to do is to kind of create, something that we can discuss on March 2nd of kind of what these dollars represent and maybe where we might look at this into the future as to where we might be able to bring some, if not all of these back. But what I would like is that we would have that information that we can discuss later. Does that sound fair to everyone? Okay, so let's go ahead and vote. We're going to start Trustee Fernandez.
Aye.
Trustee Noe.
Aye.
Trustee Ayala.
Aye.
Trustee Lewis.
No.
Trustee Nagel votes aye. Motion carries 4-1. Okay, that's it for our agenda. Normally, sometimes we throw out ideas about future agenda items, but our actual policy on our board guidance is that suggestions for items to be discussed on the next agenda are actually emailed to the board president, and then we then will discuss them. So any trustee can suggest an item to be brought up on the agenda, and then myself and the team will sit down and go over the requests and then create the agenda items for the next meeting. So with that, I thank everyone for their attendance. Welcome, Eric, and we will close this meeting, and meeting is adjourned.